Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes. Only this is the verbatim federal courtroom testimony of the Sean Diddy Combs trial as reported by Inner City Press. The seventh day of Diddy's federal trial was already spiraling into chaos when something happened that no one saw. Coming, Joe Rogan, comedian, commentator, and host of the most downloaded podcast in the world, walked through the courtroom doors. No entourage, no lawyers, just a man holding a small black notebook, and a memory full of disturbing truths. What started as speculative commentary on his podcast had taken a serious turn. Joe Rogan was here to testify under oath, and what he revealed wasn't gossip. It was experience, observation, and a trail of receipts that went far beyond clickbait headlines. As he began to speak, it was clear this wasn't just a celebrity trial anymore. This was the unraveling of an entire system. And Joe Rogan had just taken the stand to set the record straight. The Diddy trial began with an electric buzz in the air. The press gallery was already packed, rumors swirling like wildfire, but nothing prepared anyone for what followed when Joe Rogan, comedian, UFC commentator, and host of the most watched podcast in the world, walked into the courtroom as a surprise witness. It wasn't just a publicity stunt, it was a full-throttle intervention. And Joe Rogan didn't come empty-handed, wearing a dark gray blazer and jeans. Rogan cut a casual but focused figure as he took the stand. The room instantly hushed. No cameras were allowed, but court sketch artists scrambled to capture every expression. Diddy's defense team looked baffled. The judge asked Rogan to state his name and profession. Joseph James, Rogan. I'm the host of the Joe Rogan Experience. He didn't waste time. I'm not here to gossip, he began. I'm here because I've been given first-hand accounts from guests. The courtroom, Rogan was now being treated like a whistleblower. He spoke about interviews he had conducted over the years with ex-bodyguards, former label executives, and industry insiders. A lot of them were too scared to speak off the record. So they came to me not as a judge, but as someone who wouldn't cut the tape when the truth got uncomfortable. Then Rogan dropped the first bombshell back in 2023. I had a guest on former security detail for an A-list artist off-air. He said Diddy had files, physical evidence, videos, recordings, a private server kept in a bunker-like room at his Miami compound. And what's more chilling is that this guest said Jay-Z, LeBron James, and other public figures knew about the freak-offs. Not necessarily participated, but they knew. The courtroom erupted in gasps. Diddy looked visibly disturbed. His lawyers objected, but the judge overruled them. Rogan continued detailing how this particular guest had witnessed a number of these parties firsthand. He described them as rituals more than parties. Rogan said, phones confiscated, guests blindfolded. The term freak off was code inside the industry, and everyone acted like it was normal. The prosecution asked if Rogan had brought any recordings. He nodded. I submitted excerpts to the DA's office before coming here. They contain audio of unnamed insiders talking about these events. Some of the voices have been verified by forensic audio teams as the judge ordered those recordings to be officially logged. Rogan said something that made every juror sit forward. I've had Navy SEALs on my show. I've had conspiracy theorists, professors, even CIA whistleblowers. And I've never heard anything this disturbing come from the lips of people so high up in entertainment. He looked toward Diddy, finished part of his statement with a quiet fury. This isn't just celebrity gossip. This is systemic abuse, hiding behind platinum records and red carpet smiles. As Rogan settled further into his testimony, the court permitted him to recount specific stories shared on his podcast. Over the past several years, he explained that he had been piecing together a disturbing pattern since as early as 2018. One of my early guests was a tour manager for a popular R&B act. He came on to talk about the dark side of the music industry, drug culture, pay-for-play, and NDAs. But during the break, he told me something different. He said Diddy's parties weren't just indulgent. They were dangerous. Rogan emphasized that many of these conversations never made the final cut. People were scared. One guest asked me to blur his voice, distort his name, and even record his segment in a cabin. He then mentioned a producer who had been invited to a Diddy-hosted event in 2015. He told me what he saw. There left him shaking cameras, hidden in smoke detectors, people slipping things into drinks, A-list celebrities pretending not to notice. Joe read from notes taken during that off-air interview. He said, and I quote, "I saw people being filmed against their will, and Diddy called it leverage." The judge asked if these claims were verified. Rogan clarified, "Many were anecdotal, but too many lined up to ignore. These weren't rumors passed in hallways. These were detailed accounts, timelines, locations, multiple people describing the same set of behaviors." He explained how he kept a private archive of these unaired stories, protected by NDAs he crafted with legal advisors. "I didn't want to be sued into oblivion, but I also didn't want this stuff buried." Then he referenced the Jane Doe lawsuits. "I started connecting dots when names and behaviors in those lawsuits matched what my guests had been whispering for years." At one point, he revealed that a prominent music video director came to him in 2022. Sobbing, he told me he had footage unreleased, uncensored, of one of Diddy's parties. Said he was too scared to go public. But he'd been blackmailed into filming these events for over a decade. Joe concluded by saying, "This isn't a court of opinion anymore. This is a reckoning. And I'm here because people who trusted me with the truth deserve to be heard, even if they're too afraid to show their faces." Joe Rogan took a deep breath before pivoting to the moment that made headlines across the world: Elon Musk's unexpected remarks on his podcast about Jennifer Lopez and Diddy. It was casual. At first, Joe said, "We were talking about Hollywood hypocrisy, how certain celebrities speak up about politics, but stay dead silent when it's about people they actually know." Elon brought up Jennifer Lopez. The courtroom leaned in. He said she dated. Diddy went to his parties, knew what he was like. Why hasn't she ever warned anyone? Rogan paused. That clip exploded. It got millions of views. But what struck me was how fast people jumped to defend J.Lo, rather than asking what she might be hiding. He reminded the court of the 1999 nightclub shooting that led to Shine's prison sentence. Jennifer was in the car when the gun was allegedly thrown out the window. She said, "Diddy didn't do it. He walked free. Shine went to prison. And Jennifer, she kept dating Diddy for 2 more years." Joe let that sit with the jury before continuing. "What does it say when someone walks out, helps protect the man arrested, and stays with him while someone else takes the fall?" He then added a chilling line, "What happens if you're only perfect for the devil?" Rogan pointed out that while many celebrities posted about Diddy's philanthropy, none spoke up when the lawsuit started piling up. Where was J.Lo when the freak-off tapes were mentioned? Where was she when Shine finally told the truth about 1999? He ended with a pointed statement. "I'm not saying she did anything criminal. I'm saying silence in the face of abuse is complicity. And too many people in Diddy's orbit have mastered the art of disappearing." When the cameras turned, Joe Rogan leaned forward as he returned to a story that had haunted him for months. A tale involving what one of his off-the-record guests called the bunker. A former bodyguard who worked at Diddy's Miami compound came on my show. In 2022, Rogan began, "We didn't air that segment, he got cold feet. But what he told me off mic stuck with me." According to Rogan, the bodyguard described a reinforced basement-like vault buried beneath the estate, accessible only by biometric scan. Inside it, the witness claimed were dozens of encrypted hard drives. He called it the black box, said it was Diddy's insurance policy. Rogan explained footage of freak-off parties, blackmail material contracts, hidden camera videos, and not just of random people, of celebrities, executives, politicians. The courtroom gasped. Diddy's defense team visibly squirmed. One juror reached for their water glass with trembling hands. The man told me he once walked in during a backup session. There were racks of servers all air-gapped. He didn't get far. A guy with a gun told him to leave the room immediately. "That's Diddy's church," the guard said. Joe paused. That phrase stuck with me, Diddy's church, because whatever was in that room, it was sacred to someone. Sacred because it held leverage. The judge allowed the prosecution to enter Rogan's affidavit containing this account into evidence, clarifying that although the physical existence of the vault hadn't been independently verified, corroboration from multiple podcast guests made it relevant to establishing a behavioral pattern. Rogan explained that two other guests, both stylists who had worked with bad boy artists, independently described a downstairs room where security cameras were facing inward. One even said she was asked to sign an NDA in that very room after noticing what looked like a disguised peephole embedded in the mirror. "That's what's chilling," Rogan said. People describe these spaces, these rituals, in the exact same way, years apart from different walks of life. Then he revealed something the courtroom hadn't heard. Before 3 months ago, a whistleblower reached out to my team, anonymously claimed they worked for a third-party data recovery company in Miami, said they were hired to extract encrypted video from a corrupted server, claimed some of it showed guests at Diddy's events in compromising situations. I didn't air it, but I archived it, because if this trial reaches federal seizure level, the government might already have that drive. He ended the segment by looking directly at Diddy and saying, "If you're innocent, let them search the basement, open the vault, release what's in the black box." By this point, the courtroom had shifted. Joe Rogan wasn't just a celebrity witness. He was an informant speaking too.